I was thinking about what I wanted to discuss today, and as I thought about it, I knew I wanted to give you some practical strategies for budget. And I also knew it was meant to help you create a solid budget. But I didn't just want to call it tips for creating a solid budget. I wanted something more unique. And as I thought about it, for some unknown reason, I thought about the parable in the Bible of the 10 virgins. And then the topic came to mind, budgeting like the 10 virgins. Have you ever heard the parable about the 10 virgins? It's in St. Matthew. So, if you have the time, you could always read about it. It's in St. Matthew 25, 1 to 13. So 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. And I believe that we can definitely learn from both of them. So from the wise virgins, we can learn what to do. And from the foolish virgins, we know what to avoid. So for those of you who have never heard the story and don't have time to read it, I'll tell you about it later in the video, and you can see where the parable connects to some aspects of budgeting. And I want to ask you, if you knew of a tool that could bring your mind, your family, and your finances in harmony and dramatically reduce stress and make the challenges of life much more manageable, would you take advantage of this tool? Well, I have good news because such a tool does exist, and a budget that allows you to take control of your finances instead of your finances controlling you. I'll be going into 4 strategies that you can use when creating a solid budget. Why do you need a solid budget? Because budget doesn't limit your freedom. It gives you freedom. And if you want to have freedom, you definitely don't want to miss this one. So stay right where you are to hear more. And I will be right back. It is possible to create a budget that supports your dreams while making sure that the necessities are taken care of. Simply follow these steps to experience peace of mind and excitement about your future. So the first thing you want to do is find the starting line. The first crucial step in creating a household budget that works is to list all your income and keep track of every dime you spend for a month. And before you can know where you're going, you have to know your starting point. You'll be surprised to learn just where your money goes each month. And this awareness alone may change your spending habits for the better. If you are new to this channel, my name is Genese Smith, and I am a registered nurse and a transformational life coach. And I'm all about sharing what I have learned from my own life experiences, as well as share all that I'm learning now in mindset change and how we can be empowered in different areas of our lives, even though sometimes we feel down and out. I really love speaking hope in your life, especially when the situation seems hopeless. And I want to encourage you to step out in confidence, no matter what you're going through. So the next point I want to bring to you is that if you choose to use credit, please use credit wisely and sparingly. For some, using credit cards can seem like no big deal. And credit card issuers, they often give special deals and incentives to lure especially college students into applying for credit they don't really need. And of course, with large spending limits and small income, credit cards can tempt you to live a lifestyle you cannot afford. Credit, used properly, can provide convenience and peace of mind in knowing that you're covered in the case of emergency. But the temptation is great to live outside of your means and worry about paying for those purchases later. The fewer credit cards you sign up for, the less you'll be tempted to spend away your future financial health. So before I get into my next point, Have you subscribed to this channel as yet? Make sure to hit that red subscribe button and turn on your notification bell as well, so that you can be the first to be notified of our new upload each and every week. So my next point is number 3, keep your checkbook balance. That's if you're still using a checkbook. And there are some persons who don't use a checkbook anymore. But whether or not you're using a checkbook, remember to keep your accounts balanced. One of the simplest and the most productive habits that you can incorporate in your personal financial success plan is to maintain a balanced account or a checkbook if you're still using that. Just keep track of everything that goes in and out of your account by writing it in your check register or in a spreadsheet. At the end of the month, then what you're going to do, you're going to compare your financial activities to your bank statement. And when you keep track of what you spend, you may feel less tempted to waste money on impulse purchases. And you'll always know when the money is almost out. And this can save you a lot of money on overdraft fees and a lot of headaches. I love to keep my promise. And at the beginning of the video, I did promise you that I'd tell you more about the parable of the 10 virgins for those of you who have never heard of it, or if you don't have time to read about it. So the parable of the 10 virgins is a story about 10 virgins who were awaiting a bridegroom's arrival. So 5 were considered wise, and they were the ones who were prepared for the arrival, and they await the bridegroom with oil in their vessels and with their lamps. And then the ones who were considered foolish, they were not prepared, and they took their lamps, but they had no oil with them. So while they waited for the bridegroom, they fell asleep, and when there was a call for them to meet the bridegroom, the wise were ready. But the foolish said their lamps were all gone out and they needed oil. And of course, they asked the wise for some, and the wise virgins told them they should get their own because there might not be enough for all of them. So when the foolish virgins left, the bridegroom arrives, and the 5 prepared virgins were accepted, and the 5 who were not prepared were excluded. And some of my takeaways were that the 5 virgins that were wise, they knew what they had and they knew how to manage it. And they prepared ahead of time, which is planning. They made sure to have reserve. And they were ready. Even though the bridegroom came unannounced, they were ready to go. But on the other hand, the ones that were foolish, they realized that they didn't have enough at the last minute. And of course, their first solution was to turn to the wise and said, "Give us some of your oil," because they were not prepared. And when it was time to go, and that's the time they found themselves scrambling, they got left behind. So don't be left behind today. Do what it takes to plan and to be prepared. So my 4th strategy that I want to leave with you is to reduce your expenses. And there's no secret to a successful budget. It's as simple as keeping track of your income and expenses, increasing your income and lowering your expenses until you spend less than you earn. And also saving for a rainy day. And once you have a good grasp on what you're spending and where, find places to cut back and put the money you save into a savings account for a rainy day. And you can do some practical savings, such as you can look for coupons and for grocery sales. You can turn off the lights when you leave the room. You can turn the air conditioner off if you have one. And when you leave the house, make sure that you turn off all lights that are on. And cook ahead of time to save on the expense of eating out. And the financial pressures can make all of life seems overwhelming at times. So if you implement these simple steps and just commit to maintaining a rock solid budget for your family, you'll experience financial peace and prosperity. Beyond that, every area of your life will improve as you are more relaxed and at ease with the peace of mind you've achieved. William A. Ward says, "Before you spend, earn. Before you invest, investigate. Before you retire, save. And before you die, give. Thank you so much for joining.